Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever mashup breakdown on this channel, made in what is quite possibly the messiest project file you'll ever see for a mashup. Just some quick context before I get into this. This was a collaborative mashup between me and No Clue. I worked on the intro, first drop, and then outro. So unfortunately, you're not gonna get to see how the second drop was made, or how the midsection was made. But I'll go over my parts. And secondly, this was kind of a rushed mashup. I believe Skybreak, a lot of times he teases his stuff early. I got on his like texting list, if you will. You can sign up. He sometimes puts it out on his Instagram, and sometimes he just leaks songs early there. Like I got Attention a couple days early. I got No Light, I believe, like 3 or 4 days early. And then he like said the release date was like in a couple days. So I think both of us made this like in like 48 hours. Shout out to him, or No Clue. I mean, without his help, I don't think I would have gotten this whole mashup out in time. But without further ado, I guess I'll just start at the beginning. I'm just gonna assume you guys know how to change tempo and key in FL Studio. Um, so I'm just gonna gloss over that. But starting off with the intro, also listen to the mash. First link in the description, assuming I remember. Um, Starting off with the intro, we got something pretty simple. We only have no light, just the raw song. I'm not using stems yet. And here we have the stems from Thief. OK actually released these stems as a part of a remix competition, and I just kind of have them on my computer, so I isolated the one part that I wanted, which was these intro things. It's a very mashable kind of minimal thing you can use. These are the only stems I needed. And then lastly, shout out Dex Arson and MDK, I have Resolution. And overall, I think these make for a pretty good combo. Now, something I do is that when the vocals come in for No Light, I turn down the vocals for resolution quite a bit. And that's because if I leave them on at full volume, it doesn't sound that bad. But as you can hear, the vocals are clashing a tad bit, and I want No Light to be the focus of this mashup, right? And so I just figured I might as well give the No Light vocals like, your undivided attention. But I also didn't want to cut out resolution entirely so it wouldn't be too jarring. So I just landed on the half solution of like, just turning down resolution in this part. You can barely hear it, honestly, but yeah. There's no real build up in this song. It just kind of goes straight into the drop, and I'll play the fake out first. So it goes in. Now this is where you'll start to realize how rushed this is. First off, it's generally good practice to do sidechain in mashups, and what that means is I suppose I should start by saying these 4 tracks are the stems of No Light. So what what you can hear over here, you can split into their individual elements. So this you can see is just the drums, then you have the sub bass, then you have the instruments, and then you have, right? So as you can see, the song is in fact sidechained. Every time the kick hits, everything else dips in volume to make room for that kick. And in EDM, this is very common, and it's very generally considered good practice so that your kick has more room to breathe, right? So you see the kick is playing here and everything else is kind of going silent. And as mashup artists, Generally speaking, I also like to do this, where I kind of cut out everything else but the kick of one song for a split second and then bring everything back up. I did not do that here. There is no sidechain on this first kick. Well, it's not, I have sidechain in the rest of the mashup, but this first kick, no sidechain for Thief, and no sidechain for Unexotic Minds. I just kind of, let them play. I mean, it doesn't sound terrible, thankfully, but I was kind of, once again, rushed a little to get this out, like, super quick as soon as the No Light released. But I suppose I'll start going over the two songs I have here. Initially, this was just Thief and No Light. So initially, it just sounded like this. I didn't have the this one, but I suppose I'll start with Unexotic Minds. Initially, this part of the song sounds like this. And I've cut out the bass here, because you generally don't want to have the low end of a ton of songs playing at once. You only want one. So normally it would be, if you have good headphones, you might be able to hear the bass. But I just cut it out via a high pass EQ. But as you might notice, the flow is a little different, because in here, I've just kind of... So I just kind of looped that one part, if you can hear it, instead of letting it go on into the rest of the drop, because I thought it would be a lot better if it just repeated in this fake out. And another thing I do is I slowly over time reduce the volume of both Thief and Unexotic Minds a little bit, just to give No Light more room to breathe, especially because No Light itself gets a little quieter over time. So I figured I want No Light to be the focus. We should probably also duck out everything else with it so the other elements don't overpower it. And the last thing, and this is a bit atrocious, but I can't even understand my own project file. Hang on. Where? Give me a sec. Okay, so I have both of these routed to I believe, the same mixer. And there's a frequency shifter that's pitching them down. Is this also? Yes. So, basically what this means is that it's like a different, like kind of more glitched out version of a pitching down, if that makes sense. There's like a music theory explanation that's a little complicated, which goes like, if you're pitching everything down, you're pitching down all the proportions, like in all the frequencies in proportion. So it's like, instead of, if you're going from 300 to 150, if you're going down like an octave, and all of the frequencies kind of follow that exact proportion. I'm not explaining it very well, but frequency shifting kind of just subtracts a flat value. So if you have two frequencies in the song, 300 and 600, pitching it down will maybe make it go to 150 and 300, exactly half. But 300 and 600 in frequency shifting, it might go to, say, 200 and 500. You're just kind of, I'm nerding out. The point is, when it starts pitching down, it doesn't have a note. You start ruining the tonality a little. So I have fruity frequency shifter. You'll notice that it's not like playing a normal note. Honestly, this is just like stylistic. It's not like, I probably could have just pitched it down as well. Put the fries in the bag, if you will. So even here, you can kind of hear it going down. Thought this could be a pretty good way to just complement the fake out of No Light. And another place where you can kind of tell this was rushed is I don't bring the volume of Unexotic Minds back up, which ideally I should. So in an ideal scenario, I should be doing this so that when it comes back, but I don't, unfortunately. Um, yes, and now, if you guys, I remember my spiel on sidechain earlier. Most of the time in FL Studio, people tend to route all of their sidechain stuff into a single channel and then just control the volume on that one channel, right? I got lazy, and so I'm controlling the volume on, I'm doing a volume automation. This is quite bad. This is not a good habit. As you can see, I'm just kind of controlling the volume on it, all the tracks individually. There's not much to say here. It's just Unexotic Minds kind of playing on top of, oh, hello, there is something to say here, I suppose. So, Unexotic Minds is just playing on top, but as you can see, I've taken the instrument stem and I've cut a little notch in it. So, let me play it without. So it sounds fine even without the notch, but what the notch does is it gives Unexotic Minds a bit more room to breathe than if this was just, up like that, right? So, because I want both songs to be able to not be like clashing, if you will, in the frequency range. And so I figured, might as well just cut NOLIGHT a little bit to give the other one some space. And then over here I switched back to like, the I believe this next bit is Attention by Skybreak. I've pitched it up one semitone. And I just kind of take the, it's kind of funny how the vocals just ended up in the instrument stem on the FL Studio stem separator. Which, fun fact, FL Studio has a stem separator built in. You can just extract stems from sample. It does take a while, but it works. I'm not really doing much to NOLIGHT here. It's just kind of there, and then it's, yeah, Unexotic Minds is done. And now we're on to Beast Boy. I think Only Be Myself. Shout out No Clue. It was like midnight or 1 a.m. And I was like, dude, I don't know what I could possibly do for this part. And he suggested Only By Myself. Once again, we have a bad habit of just doing volume sidechains. And then like with most songs, since the bass sound of NOLIGHT is playing, I cut the bass of Only By Myself. It's generally bad practice to have the bass sounds of two songs playing at once. And then let me see if I'm doing anything for you. Still got that notch in. Yeah, I still have the notch in the instruments to make some space for Only By Myself. Especially as you can see in that frequency thing in the top, a lot of the information is in that area. So I figured I might as well let it shine. And then we come to Laser Beam, where I believe I've done something a little bit interesting. So once again, we come back with the cursed sidechain of this, volume automations, except this time it's like a fade. I don't even know what it's called in FL Studio, like the fade you have for every single clip. I'm switching back and forth between the I didn't want to do like the whole like vocal thing, so I just kind of used that one hit from the original, and then I used a stem separator here. Didn't work too well, but something I am doing. So this is what it considers the drums of the sound, but the stem separator just got confused. He doesn't know that well when it comes to dubstep. I know the guy. He's well-intentioned, but he just doesn't understand that the lasers aren't meant to be drums. So, something interesting I've done is you might notice these little volume automations, which makes the laser sound a lot more choppy. Without, it sounds like this. And I think it makes a lot of difference in this mesh. I'll play it without this volume automation. And then with, I think making these a lot tighter just helps no light not kind of get buried in like the rave will be screech thing, because there's that like little screech going on in the background of um, what do you call it, laser beam. Hang on, I need to drink some water. My voice is, I don't talk this much most days, you know, so. Okay, we're back. And now we go back to only by myself for. I'm also cutting out, this has a weird kick pattern, so I'm also cutting out every time it has a kick because I don't want double kicks. So, or not double kick. So you hear how that's kind of, I kind of prefer it when the kick is not audible. So that's just kind of something else I'm doing. And then over here I didn't, I didn't want the vocals in this one. So I just stem separated out this specific section. And yeah, I just kind of kept everything but the vocals there. We have the same thing with laser beam. And then we have a deep cut Nope by OMFG Dex Arson remix. I was initially planning to use like a different part of the drum, like this, I think, but it just didn't work out. And then I wanted to use that like original OMFG vocal chop from the original Nope. It just didn't work, but I realized I could kind of use the oh my fucking god vocal from that remix, and I thought it worked well. The only thing of note here is I stem separated it. Oh, actually there's multiple things of note. Okay, so we have the vocal here, which once again the stem separator thought it was an instrument, but we got it anyways. And we've cut out the vocals from No Light. So you kind of hear how there's like two people talking over each other at once, and I didn't want that, so I just decided No Light's vocals I could just kind of cut out temporarily. And then that way, it doesn't clash too hard, you know? And then the main other thing you might hear so the way you do this, this might take a second to show. But basically what I'm doing is a reverse reverb. So what you do, so you take a section like this, right? And you say you make it, I like to make it unique generally. And so you kind of hear you can hear that first little vocal. And I've made it unique, so I'm just gonna send it to another track. Way too many tracks on this project, by the way, and then you're gonna reverb. And I like to scroll like one preset over, put the low cut up, and then now you just you have pure reverb. If you turn the drive, you hear the oh, but you also hear that long tail. I'm just turning off the original. Now what you want to do to achieve that effect, and I'll tell you why that works so well later, is you want to open up Edison on FL Studio, start recording, and then wait. Let Edison kind of finish recording. Pause the recording, bring it in, delete that thing, and now the magic sauce is you're gonna actually hang on, before I cut, you're gonna go here and you're gonna hit reverse. Alright, and then, sorry, I'm butterfingers on this computer right now. You know, my mouse, this thing, stopped, I got it new batteries, and they just stopped working, so I'm just on, yeah. And then what you have like a little riser leading into the oh part of the vocal, right? And in this case, I just turned it up. So in the context, it sounds like it's basically what this is this. And what it does is it makes it not as jarring when the oh my fucking god vocals come in. So without it, you kind of hear how they like come way out of nowhere. Like it's fine, but it can be better if I just have this little teaser of the, and then when you hear it in the mashup, and go down, I think that works quite well. Another reason I think this works well is because is that there's no, actually I take that back. I think that's the main reason that works well. You just kind of get a teaser of the O part of the vocal, and so it's not as jarring when it comes in. Just a neat little trick I like to do in some of my mashups. Sorry, that took forever to explain, but I do think it's useful. Now over here, something I like to do in my mashups, once again, we have the side chain to make sure that this is not playing when the kick drum is playing. I'm sorry, I'm like wearing out my voice. Anyways, I don't even think I'm gonna edit this. I think you guys are just gonna see me drink water. Something I do like to use is like samples in my mashup sometimes, and this downlifter is, I think, not that one. It's some cymatic samples, where white noise probably. It's one of these, and it just serves as a good transition into the next part, as like a little transition. And this is actually one of the first parts of the mashup I created. And this is with the other side. Now, if you know how the original goes, it's a. I do love. I like to call this the scrongle drop, but I listen to the Oh my god, hang on, I'm doing something weird. Okay, so I think another little touch is instead of having all four come in at the same time, so with this, you hear the light part coming in. I don't like that it's like kind of like an incomplete phrase, right? So you want to hear like the no light. So I just kind of got rid of the light too, by muting these vocals. So it's everything but the vocals in these four stems. So you have the, and we are muting that. And then the original song, hang on. It sounds like this. And I think, you hear that da 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 da. And I figured if I could swap out like every other beat, I think, in that with like a little sample from the other side, I thought it could be cool. So this section currently sounds like this. I'll get to that in a second, but as you can, oh my god, this is horrific. This is not going to have that much educational like value. Ignore this little these things up here. Basically, I have everything, but I'm turning down the what am I doing? Yes, I remember now. I'm taking the so first off, I'm just kind of taking these samples from. I just stem separated the other side out into its stems, and I'm ignoring the drums, I'm ignoring the bass, I'm ignoring everything but the part that I'm interested in, which is the weird sound design bit, right? And what I realized is that in the drum stem of this part, you can hear you can hear the da 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 da. You know that sound? But I want to get rid of it, right? So that I have room for the AU5 song. So what I did was I took this drum stem from earlier in the drop, so like from like somewhere around here, and I transplanted it over here. And that way, this part of the drum stem doesn't have the da 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 thing. It's just plain drums, nothing fancy. And so I'm using that whenever the other side plays. And then when it's just the Skybreak song playing on its own, I'm not even using stems. I think it's best to just, sorry, leave it alone. So yeah, I'm just using the drum stem from another part of the song so that I don't have to deal with the da da da, like the, because I just kind of wanted to avoid that. And I've also toned down the instruments because you can hear some of it there, but I figured as long as these are like overpowering enough, I should be good. Hopefully I explained that well enough. And then I suppose we have probably the most simple sample insert. We have Stone Cold. I think the only thing I must be doing to this thing is taking out the low end. Not even. Oh, hang on, I'm doing some EQing though. Let's see what it sounds like without. So I figured I think this just blends it in a lot better. I'm sorry, I don't even remember like half the things I did in this mashup. It's not exactly qualified to be, mashup teacher or whatever I'm trying to be here. But I thought that just kind of was a cool little insert to have. This is in the same key too. And I thought the other stuff, since, we already have a lot going on, the NOLIGHT vocal, I figured I'll lay off on the Stone Cold Killer, Stone Cold. I think it would have worked, but I just chose to do that one little bit. Okay, and now we're about to enter another interesting thing, but another quick attention attention bit, can't go wrong with it. And then we have once again a horrific sidechain. I'm doing sidechain on individual things here. I have like, this is like one thing, this is another thing. But we have Knock to Dance or Dead. And if I can find the original file, it goes something like, okay, it's tempoed up, but and I knew I only wanted the hello officer, or like that like vocal. So I just stem separated it out, so I only have the vocals, which once again, you can do that in FL Studio. Just click here, extract stems from sample, and it'll spit out drums, bass, instruments, and vocals. Most of the time it's good enough. I'm sidechaining to make room for the kick, so... Actually, hang on, it's this one. You can kind of hear it duck in volume every time the kick hits. Let's see if I'm doing any kind of processing. Oh my. I completely forgot I did this. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's walk us through what I did here. So, let's actually turn off all the effects and see what it sounds like. Okay, it sounds like not a ton. I think I'm brightening it up. Okay, this is the ignore the I think the delay is useless, and the reverb I'll tell you guys at the very end. But I just figured that chorus gives it a little bit of stereo width, which I think is good. especially because I'm cutting out the vocals of No Light, which I think, okay, it doesn't have stereo width, but I feel like I needed to fill the space somehow because this part of the song originally has that like little verse that Hey Bella's singing. By the way, I do think she popped off on this song. What am I? Oh dear. Okay. So the main thing to say about the vocals is I have a bit of chorus on them and I'm brightening them up with some EQ. Nothing crazy. But how long have I been recording for? Hopefully I'm 30 oh dear. Okay. I need to wrap this up soon. Thankfully we're nearing the end. But the main thing I realized was that when I got rid of the vocals, let me inspect you. This sounded kind of flat. Like it sounds okay. I thought this sounded kind of empty. So the first order of business I did was I boosted some of the frequencies in this stem, the instruments. So you can only really hear it around here, which it's not very noticeable, but if I turn it off, maybe I'm crazy. I can't even hear the difference anymore. Sometimes I just do that. But I think the main thing is I'm doing this. I'm just adding this is just white noise, but there's a really fast volume automation. I call it white noise but cool. It's a very useful sample, but it kind of goes along with the rhythm of the original bass. And I think without it, you kind of lose some of that energy, I feel. So I just figured I'd keep this in here. And then I kind of fade it out over time. One more thing I remember about these vocals is that originally they're saying something slightly different. And that around here, you'll hear like... but in the original, she says something different. She says something along the lines of... But as you can notice, the stem separation got a little wonky around here. You can't really hear what she's about to say, so I just kind of repeat this part twice. So that I just kind of avoid that kind of wonky vocal and I just repeat exactly what she said. And so, sorry, yeah, I just kind of repeated that bit so that I wouldn't have to deal with the wonky vocal. Another stone cold insert, and then we have another sample over here to like guide us out of the drop. And this is kind of what I passed off to No Clue for so that he could then work on his segment of the mashup. One final thing, I suppose, is that I do send this off with a reverb. So as you can see, like you can see I turn up the wet. Without it, it would just kind of sound like, you know, it would just kind of end. But I thought it would be it was a little sudden. And it would be easier for No Clue to go into his segment with this part of the song if I just reverb that out. Alright, we're almost done. Last thing is the outro. Ironically, also one of the first few things I made. Here's a little fun fact. No Light is just not sidechained here. I kind of forgot. This is from the Electric Lady stems from when they did the remix competition. Very handy to just have those. These are sidechained to Scorched Earth, I will admit. And then, yeah, I just kind of passed off. What I passed off to No Clue was essentially the... And then I just kind of cut out the vocals for him here. And this is just kind of like it's just kind of a bit of a lead up to Scorched Earth by Virgil Wright. And because there's a whole like I can't take my eyes off, I just kind of mute the I mute the no light vocals so they're not once again talking over each other. And then so he just kind of stitched his part over here like this. Like that, but I didn't send him that previous bit, I just sent him this. You know, we're already recording for quite a bit, so I would show you how I did this. Yeah, I'll just tell you guys because I think this one will take a while to demonstrate. It's very similar to the reverse reverb trick where I took this like a little tiny sample of Scorched Earth, except I reversed the sample, added some delay, recorded that delay, and then got the audio clip out and then re-reversed it. So, yeah, let me know if you guys want me to, like, tell me in the comments if you guys want me to demonstrate that, but I figured we've already been going on for quite some time. This part is pretty simple. It's just the vocal stem from Electric Lady. I was initially gonna do that, but I didn't. Over Scorched Earth. But, unfortunately, I cannot show you the big middle section of No Clues parts. But, that's all from me for today. Thank you for bearing with me as I went through this horrific project file. And, yeah, let me know if you like this kind of video. But, that's all from me. See ya.